An enhanced risk is already in progress across the Central Plains this morning, and a separate threat fires across the lower Mississippi Valley this afternoon. 2 windows. 2 threat zones. Nearly 12 million people in the crosshairs before this day is done. Doppler Online. Friday, April 24th, 2026. SPC Severe Weather Briefing. This is a split outlook day. The morning threat is already producing dangerous storms from Iowa through Illinois. The afternoon threat shifts south into Arkansas, Louisiana, and the Mid-South. Both windows demand your attention, and I am going to walk you through each one. On your screen now are yesterday's confirmed storm reports. 1 tornado verified over northern Illinois near the Iowa border, 59 wind reports clustered across Montana and the Dakotas, and 19 hail reports concentrated over the Great Lakes. That system has moved east. Today's threat is different and in some ways more dangerous. On your screen now is the GFS 250 millibar jet stream forecast. You can see a powerful jet streak nosing into the Central Plains, with speed maxima punching northeast from Kansas into the upper Midwest. That upper-level energy is the engine driving both of today's threat windows, channeling lift and dynamics into successive regions as the day progresses. This next animation shows the 500 millibar height trend over the next 48 hours. A deep trough is digging southeast from the northern Rockies into the Central Plains, and that trough continues to amplify through the weekend. This is why the threat does not end today. Now looking at 850 millibar winds. The low-level jet is screaming north-northeast out of the Gulf at 40 to 50 knots, funneling warm, moist air directly into the threat corridor from Louisiana through Arkansas and into Missouri. That moisture transport is fueling instability on both sides of the frontal boundary. On your screen now is surface-based CAPE overlaid with wind shear crossovers. Notice how the highest CAPE values stretch from eastern Texas through Louisiana and into Arkansas, and the wind crossover contours sit directly on top of that instability axis over central Arkansas. That overlap zone is where supercells, rotating thunderstorms capable of producing tornadoes, are most likely to develop this afternoon. My read on this setup: the morning squall line and the afternoon supercell threat are driven by the same trough, but the afternoon environment is more volatile. The directional shear tightening over central Arkansas, with CAPE values climbing through the afternoon, creates a narrow corridor where strong, long-track tornadoes are possible. That is the detail I keep coming back to. Let me walk through both threat windows. On your screen now is the Day 1 morning categorical outlook through 12Z. You can see the enhanced risk in orange sitting over the Kansas-Missouri border region stretching into Iowa, with the slight risk in yellow extending from southern Kansas through Iowa into southern Minnesota. This morning threat is primarily a damaging wind and large hail event. The morning wind map tells the story. Follow that 30% contour with significant hatching parked directly over central to northern Illinois. That is a fast-moving squall line or bow echo producing widespread damaging winds right now. If you are in that corridor, your severe weather is happening this morning. Now the morning hail map. A 45% hail probability in deep red is centered over north-central Kansas, with significant hatching indicating very large hail, potentially baseball-sized stones. The 30% zone extends from central Oklahoma through Nebraska towards southern South Dakota. This is an aggressive hail footprint. The morning tornado map shows a 10% contour with significant hatching focused tightly over central to northern Iowa. That narrow corridor is where a rotating storm embedded in the line could produce a strong tornado. That threat is active now. Now I am transitioning to this afternoon. On your screen is the Day 1 afternoon categorical outlook. The picture shifts south. You can see the slight risk in yellow centered over central and southern Oklahoma, extending into the Arkansas-Missouri border region. The marginal risk in dark green expands across eastern Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and northeast into Indiana and Ohio. This afternoon's hail threat is centered over the lower Mississippi Valley. The 15% contour in yellow sits over central Arkansas, extending into southeastern Missouri, with significant hatching over central and eastern Arkansas. You are looking at hail up to 2 inches or larger in that corridor, enough to shatter windshields and damage roofing. If you have vehicles exposed in central Arkansas this afternoon, get them under cover before noon. The wind threat this afternoon splits into 2 zones. The primary 15% area sits over western Kansas and the Oklahoma Panhandle, with the 5% contour stretching east through Missouri into northern Louisiana. A secondary 5% pocket sits over Indiana and Ohio. Straight-line winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour are possible in the primary zone. Secure patio furniture, trash cans, anything that becomes a projectile. The tornado threat this afternoon is the one that concerns me most. The 5% contour with significant hatching is focused over central to eastern Arkansas. That hatching means conditions favor strong, potentially long-track tornadoes. This is not an isolated, brief tornado risk. The environment supports rotating supercells capable of producing EF2 or stronger tornadoes through the evening hours. Know your shelter location before storms arrive. For the cities, the slight risk corridor this afternoon puts Little Rock and the surrounding Arkansas metro directly in the crosshairs for all three hazards. Large hail and tornadoes are the primary concern there from mid-afternoon through the evening. Shreveport and the Ark-La-Tex region sit in the southern edge of the slight risk, where supercells moving off the Oklahoma-Texas border could produce damaging hail and isolated tornadoes by late afternoon. Memphis and Jackson, Mississippi are in the slight zone and should prepare for storms arriving by evening, with damaging wind as the leading hazard as storms potentially congeal into a line. Dallas and Baton Rouge round out the slight risk cities, with Dallas seeing the western fringe of the wind threat and Baton Rouge catching storms as they push south overnight. For marginal risk cities, Houston, New Orleans, Austin, Fort Worth, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Columbus, and Detroit all sit on the periphery. Isolated strong storms are possible, but the organized severe threat stays north and west of you. Now the timing. The morning squall line is already east of the Mississippi and will exit the threat area by midday. Attention then shifts to the southern plains and mid-south. Discrete supercell development is expected across central Arkansas and northern Louisiana between 2 and 4 p.m. Central as the cap erodes and surface heating maximizes instability. Storms will track northeast at 25 to 35 miles per hour, putting the Memphis corridor in the path by 7 to 9 p.m. Storms may not fully exit the threat area until after midnight, so overnight severe weather is a real possibility across western Tennessee and northern Mississippi. The next SPC Outlook update drops at 16:30 around 11:30 a.m. Central. Watch for any upgrade to moderate risk over central Arkansas. My call. Little Rock sees the worst of this between 3 and 7 p.m. Central. That is where the highest tornado and hail probabilities stack on top of peak instability. If you are in the Little Rock metro, your plan needs to be set before 2 p.m. No watches are active at this moment. The morning storms are outrunning watch issuance in some areas, but for the afternoon threat, expect tornado watches to be issued across central Arkansas, northern Louisiana, and western Mississippi between 1 and 3 p.m. Central. When those watches drop, treat them as your final signal to activate your plan. Looking beyond today, this is not a one-day event. Tomorrow brings an enhanced risk centered over central Oklahoma, with a 30% hail probability and significant hatching stretching from the Wichita metro south toward the Oklahoma City corridor. Large hail is the primary threat on day 2. Day 3 shifts the enhanced risk into Nebraska and Iowa, with Omaha in the slight risk zone and another round of severe storms expected. Day 4, Monday, carries a 30% probability centered over central Illinois. That is unusually high confidence at the extended range. Days 5 and 6 show no organized severe threat, so the break comes midweek. But you have 4 consecutive days of enhanced level severe weather ahead. Stay locked in. I am putting the action plan on your screen right now. Step 1, shelter. Identify your safe room now. Interior room, lowest floor, away from windows. If you are in central Arkansas, this is a tornado day. Everyone in the household needs to know where to go. Step 2, alerts. Charge every device in the house. Enable wireless emergency alerts on every phone and make sure they override silent mode. Step 3, property. Get vehicles into garages or under hard cover before 2 p.m. if you are anywhere in the slight risk zone. Secure loose outdoor items now, not when the wind starts. Step 4, household plan. Brief everyone. Tell them what the threat is, when it arrives, and where they go when the sirens sound. Do it before lunch. Tell me in the comments, if you are in Arkansas, Louisiana, or the Memphis corridor, how are you preparing today? What does your plan look like? Doppler tracking. Stay weather aware and keep your alerts on. End transmission.